Let's talk about something that destroys relationships and confuses good men everywhere. A man treats his partner well, stays faithful, provides, shows up consistently, and then discovers she's been unfaithful. And his first thought is always, why? What did I do wrong? I was a good guy. Today we're breaking down the 7 real reasons why women cheat on good men. And I'm warning you now, some of these truths are going to be uncomfortable. But if you want to understand human behavior and protect your relationships, you need to hear this. Let's dive in. Reason number 1. Emotional neglect. Disguised as stability. Here's the paradox that catches so many good men off guard. You can be a great provider, reliable, consistent, and still be emotionally absent. And emotional neglect is one of the primary drivers of infidelity in women. Let me paint you a picture. A man comes home from work, he's tired, he provides for his family, pays the bills on time, doesn't cause drama, doesn't cheat. By traditional standards, he's doing everything right. But when his partner tries to talk to him about her day, her feelings, her dreams, or her struggles, he's only half listening. He gives surface-level responses. That's nice, honey. Uh-huh. We'll talk about it later. Over time, she stops trying, and that's when the vulnerability opens up. When a woman feels emotionally disconnected from her partner, she doesn't stop needing that connection. She just starts looking for it elsewhere, often without even intending to. Maybe she starts talking to a coworker who actually asks how she's doing and listens to the answer. Maybe it's an old friend who makes her feel seen and understood, and sometimes that emotional connection becomes physical. Here's what good men don't realize. Women often cheat emotionally before they cheat physically. The physical act is usually the final step in a process that started months earlier with unmet emotional needs. She didn't wake up one day and decide to betray you. She slowly drifted away because the emotional bridge between you two crumbled, brick by brick, conversation by ignored conversation. Think about the beginning of your relationship. You used to ask questions. You wanted to know everything about her, her thoughts, her past, her dreams, what made her laugh. You were genuinely curious. You created space for deep conversations. You were emotionally present and available. But somewhere along the way, many good men switch into autopilot mode. They think that because they're being responsible and reliable, that's enough. They don't realize that emotional intimacy is like a plant that needs constant watering. Without it, it withers and dies, even if everything else in the garden looks fine. The hard truth? Being a good man isn't just about what you do, it's about how present you are. You can provide every material comfort and still leave your partner feeling alone. Emotional intimacy requires active participation, vulnerability, and genuine curiosity about your partner's inner world. Without it, you're creating a void that someone else might fill. Reason number 2. She never truly chose you. This one is brutal, but it happens more often than anyone wants to admit. Sometimes a woman enters a relationship with a good man not because she's deeply attracted to him or madly in love, but because he represents security, stability, or social acceptance. Maybe she was getting older and felt pressure to settle down. Maybe her previous relationship was with someone exciting but unreliable, and she consciously chose the opposite. Maybe her family loved you, or you checked all the boxes on paper. Maybe she was in a vulnerable place financially or emotionally, and you were there. The problem is when someone settles or chooses with their head instead of their heart, there's always a part of them that wonders what if. There's always a sense of something missing, and when that missing element shows up in the form of another person, especially someone who ignites the passion or excitement she never felt with you, the temptation becomes overwhelming. This is why you'll sometimes see women cheat on men who are objectively better partners than the person they cheat with. The other guy might have less to offer materially, might even be less reliable, but he makes her feel something she doesn't feel at home. That spark, that chemistry, that sense of being truly alive. I've seen this play out countless times. A woman marries a good man who treats her well, but there's always been something missing in the chemistry department. She convinces herself that mature love is supposed to be calm and comfortable, that the butterflies and passion are just fairy tales. But deep down, she knows she's never felt that consuming attraction to her partner. Years pass, and then she meets someone who awakens something in her. Suddenly she's experiencing feelings she's never had with her good man. The guilt is real, but so is the realization that she's been living a half-life. And that's when the affair begins, not out of malice, but out of a desperate need to feel truly alive and connected to someone on a visceral level. The lesson here: pay attention to how a woman chooses you in the beginning. Is she enthusiastically into you, or does it feel like she's making a practical decision? Real desire can't be negotiated or convinced, and if it's not there from the start, all your good qualities won't create it later. You deserve someone who chooses you with their whole heart, not just their logical mind. Reason number 3. The emotional affair trap. Let's talk about something that most people don't recognize until it's too late. The emotional affair. This is when a woman develops a deep emotional connection with someone outside the relationship, and it's often completely invisible until physical boundaries are crossed. Here's how it typically happens. She has a friend, maybe a coworker, maybe someone from her past, or someone she met through social media. At first, it's innocent. They talk about normal things, but gradually the conversations get deeper. She starts sharing things with him that she doesn't share with you. He becomes her go-to person when she's upset, excited, or confused. She thinks about him throughout the day. She lights up when his name appears on her phone. And here's the dangerous part. She doesn't think she's doing anything wrong because nothing physical has happened yet. She rationalizes it as just a friendship. But emotionally, she's already invested in another relationship. She's already splitting her intimate energy between two people. The progression is often so subtle that she doesn't realize she's crossing lines until she's already deep into it. It starts with work conversations that turn personal. Then it's texting about things unrelated to work. Then it's confiding in him about problems in her relationship. Then it's looking forward to seeing him more. Then she looks forward to seeing you. Then it's fantasizing about what life would be like with him instead. By the time anything physical happens, the real betrayal already occurred months ago. The physical act is almost just a formalization of an emotional commitment that was already made. Good men often miss this completely because they're not monitoring their partner's phone or tracking her friendships. They trust her, as they should. But by the time the emotional affair becomes physical, the relationship has already been fundamentally damaged. The intimacy, the trust, the exclusive emotional bond has already been shared with someone else. The truth is, emotional affairs can be more devastating than purely physical ones because they involve real intimacy and connection. A one-night stand is a terrible betrayal, but it's often meaningless. An emotional affair means your partner has been living a double life, investing her emotional energy, thoughts, and intimate self into another relationship while pretending everything at home is fine. What makes you vulnerable to this? Not checking in emotionally, not being the person she wants to share her inner world with, not creating the kind of deep connection that makes outside relationships feel unnecessary and even undesirable. When you're her best friend, her confidant, her emotional safe space, the pull toward emotional affairs dramatically decreases. Reason number 4, she's seeking validation. She doesn't get at home. Women need to feel desired, attractive, and wanted. Not just loved in a comfortable, predictable way, but genuinely desired. And when a good man gets too comfortable in a relationship, he often stops making his partner feel this way. Think about it. In the beginning, you pursued her. You flirted. You made her feel beautiful. You looked at her like she was the only woman in the room. You initiated physical intimacy. You complimented her. You made an effort with your appearance because you wanted to impress her. You planned dates. You sent her texts just to say you were thinking about her. But after a few years, maybe after marriage or kids, that often stops. You love her, sure, but you stop pursuing her. You stop making her feel like a woman you desire and more like a partner you're comfortable with. You stop noticing when she dresses up. You scroll through your phone while she's talking. Physical intimacy becomes routine or infrequent. The passion fades into companionship. She might spend an hour getting ready for a date night, and you barely look up from your phone to acknowledge it. She might try a new perfume, a new outfit, a new hairstyle, and you don't notice. She might initiate intimacy, and you're too tired or distracted. Little by little, she starts feeling invisible, not as a person you love and care about, but as a woman who is desirable and wanted. And then another man comes along. Maybe he's just naturally flirtatious, or maybe he genuinely finds her attractive. He notices a new haircut. He compliments her laugh. He looks at her with desire in his eyes. He makes her feel like a desirable woman again instead of just someone's wife or mother. He flirts with her. He makes her feel young and alive and attractive. That validation is intoxicating, especially when she hasn't felt it at home in years. and sometimes that's all it takes. One person making her feel seen, attractive, and wanted in a way her good man hasn't made her feel in a long time. This is especially dangerous after major life changes like having children. Many women struggle with their identity and self-image after becoming mothers. Their bodies change. Their lives revolve around diapers and feeding schedules. They feel like they've lost themselves. And if their partner treats them more like a co-parent than a desirable woman, that identity crisis deepens. When someone comes along and reminds her that she's still attractive, still interesting, still worthy of desire and pursuit, it can feel like coming up for air after drowning. The affair isn't really about the other person. It's about reclaiming a part of herself that felt lost. The hard lesson: you can't stop pursuing your partner just because you've already won her. Attraction and desire require ongoing effort. The moment you take her for granted is the moment you become vulnerable to someone who won't. Make her feel desired. Notice her. Pursue her. Make her feel like the attractive, interesting, desirable woman she is, not just the mother of your children or your domestic partner. Reason number 5. Unresolved personal issues and self-sabotage. Sometimes women cheat on good men because of issues that have nothing to do with the man or the relationship. It's about her own internal struggles, unhealed trauma, or patterns of self-destruction. Some women grew up in environments where love was conditional, unpredictable, or absent. They might have attachment issues, deep-seated insecurity, or a subconscious belief that they don't deserve good things. When they finally have a healthy relationship with a good man, it feels foreign and uncomfortable. There's no chaos, no drama, no need to fight for attention or prove their worth. And paradoxically, that stability can trigger anxiety. Part of them is waiting for the other shoe to drop, for things to go wrong like they always have before. So instead of waiting for it to happen, they sabotage it themselves. Cheating becomes a way to confirm their negative beliefs about themselves and relationships. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. See, I knew I'd messed this up. I knew I didn't deserve someone this good. Other women cheat because they're running from something within themselves. Maybe they're unhappy with their life choices, their career, their identity as a mother, or who they've become. They feel trapped or lost. They're experiencing what some call an identity crisis or a quarter-life or midlife crisis. And instead of doing the hard work of self-reflection and change, they seek escape through the excitement and novelty of an affair. It's a temporary distraction from deeper issues they're not ready to face. There are also women who have a history of using external validation, attention, and sexual power to feel worthy. Even in a committed relationship with a good man, they crave that hit of validation from new sources. It's an addiction of sorts, and like any addiction, it's about filling an internal void that no external relationship can truly fix. The thrill of new attraction, of being pursued, of knowing someone wants them becomes a drug they can't quit. Some women carry trauma from past relationships or experiences that they've never properly processed. Maybe they were cheated on before and carry a hurt them before they hurt me mentality. Maybe they experienced betrayal or abandonment and now they can't fully trust or commit to anyone, even someone who's proven themselves trustworthy. Maybe they have unresolved issues with their father or early relationships that affect how they relate to men. The brutal truth here is that no matter how good a man you are, you can't fix someone else's unresolved trauma or self-destructive patterns. If a woman hasn't done her own healing work, your goodness alone won't keep her faithful. This is why emotional health and self-awareness are so important in choosing a partner. You can't love someone into wholeness. They have to do that work themselves. Reason number 6, the dead bedroom situation. Let's address the elephant in the room. Sexual incompatibility and lack of physical intimacy are major factors in infidelity, and it goes both ways. But when a woman cheats because of this, good men are often blindsided because they don't realize there was even a problem. Here's what happens. Over time, physical intimacy decreases in the relationship. Maybe you're both busy with work and kids. Maybe there's unresolved conflict that's killing the mood. Maybe there's a medical issue, stress, or exhaustion. Or maybe you've just fallen into a routine where sex becomes infrequent or mechanical. For some good men, this isn't a big deal. They love their partner and can handle periods of less physical connection. They figure it's just a phase or a normal part of long-term relationships. But they don't realize their partner is struggling with it much more than she's letting on. Women often don't communicate sexual frustration as directly as men do. They might drop hints or try to initiate in subtle ways that their partner misses. When those attempts are repeatedly rejected or ignored, they stop trying, and they stop talking about it because they don't want to make their partner feel pressured or inadequate. So they suffer in silence, feeling unwanted and undesirable, but the need doesn't go away. Physical intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about feeling connected, desired and attractive to your partner. It's about feeling chosen and wanted. When that disappears, some women eventually seek it elsewhere. And when they find someone who makes them feel sexually alive again, the contrast can be overwhelming. Maybe her good man has gained weight, stopped taking care of himself, or has health issues that affect intimacy. Maybe he's so stressed from work that he's never in the mood. Maybe he's dealing with performance issues and instead of addressing them, he avoids intimacy altogether. Meanwhile, she's left feeling rejected and undesired. Then someone comes along who wants her intensely. Someone who can't keep their hands off her. Someone who makes her feel like the most desirable woman in the world. The temptation is enormous, especially after years of feeling rejected or invisible in that way. The difficult truth is that maintaining a healthy sexual connection requires ongoing communication, effort, and prioritization. Good men sometimes focus so much on being providers, fathers, and reliable partners that they neglect the lover aspect of the relationship, and that neglect creates vulnerability. Physical intimacy needs to remain a priority, not just something that happens if you both happen to have energy after everything else is done. Reason number 7, opportunity plus rationalization. Let's end with the most uncomfortable truth of all. Sometimes women cheat on good men simply because the opportunity presents itself, and they rationalize a way to justify it in the moment. Human nature is complicated. We like to think that good people don't cheat, and that infidelity only happens in bad relationships, but that's not reality. Most infidelity happens in relationships that are just okay, or even good. And it often happens not because of some grand deficiency, but because circumstances aligned and boundaries were weak. Maybe she went on a work trip and spent time drinking with colleagues. Maybe an old flame reached out when she was feeling vulnerable. Maybe she got into an argument with you before attending a party, alone. The perfect storm of factors, attraction, alcohol, privacy, emotional vulnerability, and weak momentary judgment. And here's where rationalization comes in. The human brain is incredibly good at justifying behavior after the fact. He hasn't been paying attention to me anyway. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. I deserve this after everything I've been through. It's just physical. It doesn't mean anything. This doesn't make me a bad person. I just made a mistake. These rationalizations allow people to step outside their values temporarily. And good men are often the easiest to rationalize cheating on because the relationship feels secure. There's a subconscious belief that a good man will forgive, understand, or never find out. The stability he provides becomes the very thing that makes her feel safe enough to risk it. This is the reality that nobody wants to acknowledge. People are capable of doing things completely out of character when the right circumstances align. Someone can be a good person with solid values and still make a terrible decision in a moment of weakness. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but it explains why infidelity isn't always about deep relationship problems. This is why boundaries, clear communication about expectations, and maintaining the health of your relationship even when things seem fine are so important. Complacency is dangerous. The moment you think your relationship is immune to infidelity is often when you're most vulnerable. Look, these truths are hard to hear. If you're a good man who's been cheated on, you might be looking for something in this list to blame yourself for. But here's what I want you to understand. Her choices are not your responsibility. Cheating is a decision, and it's always the wrong one. If she was unhappy or unfulfilled, the right move was to communicate, work on the relationship, or leave honestly, not to betray your trust. That said, understanding these reasons isn't about taking blame. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing that being a good man isn't enough if you're not also being an emotionally present partner. It's about understanding that relationships require ongoing effort, attention, and honest communication. It's about choosing partners who have done their own inner work and share your values. And most importantly, it's about knowing your worth. If you've been faithful, present, and genuinely trying, and she still chose to cheat, that says more about her character and choices than anything you did or didn't do. Protect yourself by choosing wisely, by maintaining your standards, and by never becoming complacent in your relationship. Stay emotionally connected. Keep pursuing your partner. Communicate openly about needs and desires, And if someone violates your trust despite your best efforts, have the self-respect to recognize that you deserve better. That's it for today's video. I know this was heavy, but these conversations matter. If this resonated with you, or if you have thoughts to share, drop them in the comments below. And if you found value in this, hit that subscribe button because we're diving deep into relationship psychology and human behavior on this channel. I'll see you in the next one.